the Wednesday week. We've seen off more competitors than Kevin Pressman in the 90s.
Good evening, everyone. It's time for the Wednesday week. I'm Eddie. I am brought to you courtesy of the lovely folks at the Riverside Cafe on Catch Bar Lane in Sheffield. Not only the closest independent bar where you can get a pint and a pie and plenty of other lovely things, brie and cranberry for this, seasonal occasion. It's open before and after matches, probably open during matches as well, but we're not there because we're at Hillsborough. Who are we? Well, of course, as I've said, I'm Eddie. First on the line tonight, I have the very lovely and a little bit tipsy Victoria. Welcome to the Wednesday.
No, I've sobered up now. So I got dragged to the pub after work by my friend, so I was a little bit worried, but I've had 3 coffees, so it's fine. I'm all good. Evening.
So just the jitters and the shakes, but
yeah,
no...
I'm just sat curled up in a corner thinking, oh my God, I've had 3 glasses of wine. But it's fine. I'm okay. I'm okay now. It was like 4 hours ago. No.
Yes, she's absolutely okay. She's absolutely fine, everybody. Yeah. No problem whatsoever with Victoria tonight.
I'm fine.
She's fine. And usually then, we'd go on. We've got some regulars, people who are, they're usuals on the podcast. We have occasional special guests, and tonight we have one of the most special and long-serving Wednesday week guests that we have because the incredible Joe Crann has joined us from South Africa. Joe, how you doing, mate?
That is the nicest intro I've ever had for anything, I think. How you doing?
We aim to please. So just put us in the picture. So, Vic's rocking herself and got the shakes in Hillsborough. I'm coming from a similarly dark and cold and slightly horrible North Yorkshire. What can you see out your window at the moment, Joe?
Well, due to the fact that it's about 10 o'clock now, nothing. It's just dark. I can't really see anything. But no, I hope you realise that I've gone to great lengths to come on this show today. I'm stuck well into a career with Sheffield Wednesday on Football Manager at the minute, and it's taken a very nice message from Vic to get me to step away from that, because I've just won the Carabao Cup and finished 6th in the Premier League, so I've got a lengthy pre-season in front of me.
I tell you what,
Cranning.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's probably an angle for you to work here. If you give a good performance tonight, that goes straight on the CV again, and that combined with what you've been doing on our Football Manager could have you the inside track for Yossi's job.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to say that I'm not up for it. I'm not up for it though. Our fans can be horrible sometimes. I don't think I've got the mental state for it.
I could just imagine you on the touchline, just like going, no, fuck off. Yeah, but you're only one letter off. So, if we've got any sort of merchandise that we need to get rid of, we just need to swap a vowel for a consonant, really, don't we? So,
yeah,
just
easily
you, yeah.
So, good. And in terms of drink, Vic's on the coffee. Joe, it would be remiss of me to ask in James's absence, what are you drinking tonight?
Oh, I should lie and say something interesting, but I'm literally just sat with a bottle of water.
Hey, that's fair. You've got to keep hydrated. It's important. No, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm keeping 100% hydrated with a large pint of water and, of course, a bottle of wine, because that's how I roll. So, it's a bit of a slow start. Yeah.
Are you drinking straight
Do you
from
not know
the
me at all?
Do
no, I've got a straw.
I do.
Got a straw. It's fine.
Got a funnel.
So it's a bit. Yes, I have an intravenous drip, and that seems to be setting me up all right. It's a bit of a slow start to the podcast, and because it's a bit of a slow week, isn't it? Notice James, Fudge, Rich, all of these. They know which side their bread's buttered on, and they've decided to swerve. What is traditionally the slowest weekend of the season is when there's nothing happening. But we've got plenty going on, really, haven't we? Because Wednesday, team of international stars in an international week, they just carry on as usual. So, Vic, international news, I suppose the top story, of course, has been our own Stephen Fletcher. So he's got a bit of a run in the Wednesday side. That has translated into a bit of a run in some key games for Scotland. So what's been going on with him?
He's been doing all right, hasn't he? He got a great write-up after that as well. People are raving about him. It's almost like he's a championship striker who's playing for Scotland. Yeah, he's done really well. He got a goal. Shock horror. It was a header. No, it wasn't. Was it a penalty? No. Was it a penalty? It could have been. It could have been off his arse, to be honest. And
it was a headed penalty.
I don't watch it.
Audacious.
But yeah, so he's done okay. We've seen some really good reviews about him. I think that's great news. That's exactly what we needed. Hopefully that'll pick up a couple of other people. Obviously, we know that he's blatantly really good friends with Barry Bannon. Hopefully that'll inspire some confidence into Barry. Hopefully that's going to make the other, well, I mean, it's Jos Luhukay, so who knows? But hopefully whoever else is up front with Fletcher on Saturday will also feel the need to play well. Let's be honest, Fletcher's probably going to be dropped from the squad. He's just going to be sat there in the under-23s for the next 3 weeks. He's done far too well. But yeah, I'm pleased with that. I think that's brilliant. Yeah.
It seems to be quite a key position for Scotland, a key performance. He got a standing ovation last night when he came off after 87 minutes, when Scotland had kind of done the job they needed to do, which is, get promoted up into the kind of second tier of this weird Nations League that we're all trying to get our heads around. So he's had a good international break. Joe, it's we've talked. They almost come as a pair, don't they? Fletcher and Bannon. Barry Bannon left out of the squad this time round. As a Wednesday fan, when you look at the relative form of the two, they're obviously both been getting into the Wednesday team. And Barry, I suppose, has a higher profile in terms of how important he is to Wednesday. Is it a surprise to you to see Fletch being almost an ever-present in that squad and getting good game time, and Barry left out in the cold?
Not really. I mean, I think, we know the quality that Barry's got. And, I mean, I've said to a lot of people over the last few years, I mean, in terms of technical ability, he's one of the best players I've seen in my sort of real formative years as a Wednesday. I mean, him and the season we got to the playoff final, I think Bannon and Forestieri were probably the two best players I've seen at Wednesday since Carboni and Di Canio. And I think that with Bannon, that the only problem that he's got, I think, is that Scotland team is it's quite congested in his position, and I think that they have got players there who are playing maybe performing slightly better than he is, whereas up front they are lacking a little bit. And look, do you know what was crazy to me when I saw the headed penalty that he scored? When I saw the penalty, they said it was only his 10th goal. I thought he'd got much more than that for Scotland, because it seems like he's been playing for ages.
But I mean, certainly he was fated, wasn't he? When he came to us as being a regular goal scorer at national level. But yeah, he hasn't had as many caps as you might think. I think he's been in and around it for a long time, but he's never quite been.
He's a bit like the David Nugent of Scotland, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's never quite been at a high enough profile club, and so he has fallen between the studs. He's probably had a few more caps than Nugent, but certainly he's been in that kind of second tier.
Let's say Francis Jeffers then. 100% record, Francis Jeffers.
We'll go with that. So Scotland have done whatever they did. I think they get a guaranteed playoff place for the Euro 2020 qualifiers or something like that. It's still monkey tennis, so Scotland, don't at me. So in other news, we'll step down a little bit to Bulgaria under-19s. Look, you can't walk round the corner or down the street in Sheffield without someone stopping and asking about Bulgaria under-19. And obviously the afternoon to remember for Bulgaria under-19s was for our own Preslav Burakov. So, this is a young lad who has kind of made his name in our under-23s. He's built like a tank. His nickname's the Tank. And he managed to just casually bag a first-half hat-trick. Okay, playing against Gibraltar. Let's gloss over that. I'm sure Gibraltar under-19.
You should have just left that bit out.
No, I know, possibly, because Gibraltar under-19s. I'm assuming they're basically struggling to get a team together. That's just
Let's be honest. We laugh, but it's better than any level any of us have ever played at ever. So let's.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely not getting into the Gibraltar under-19s team. I was never making that side.
I wouldn't get into the Gibraltar over 50s team. Let's be honest. So hats off to him. First half hat trick. Like, but this is the point. Like, is this the moment that everyone goes all George Hurst on his arse and says he should be in the first team, he should be playing for England, even though he's playing elsewhere? Like, this is what we do as fans, isn't it? He should be batting Harry Kane off the field now. He's not even English, but fuck it. Like, he can score a first half hat trick. Like, oh, just ease off the pressure, lift off the gas, chill, go into third gear. It's okay. It's good.
He seems to be bang at it in terms of, not only for his country, but he's become a real key part of that under 23s. Even the kind of overall youth setup. I think he's one of those shining lights. Given that his name is Borakov and not Hurst, I think he's probably safe from the hype machine a little bit. But we'll be keeping a keen eye. We know that you love a youth watch, Vic, so I expect that you'll be keeping a keen eye.
Follow him on Instagram,
a keen eye on the tank.
I'm not going to lie. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
that's what I like to see.
Tank.
So, absolutely, don't we all? So, moving back up into the seniors, but less interesting, I suppose. Daniel Pudil, back in the Czech Republic squad, got onto the bench for their Nations League tie, didn't feature. Don't think we therefore need to talk about too much. I don't think he just randomly got cut and bled, for the cause in the same way that he does for Wednesday. So we can gloss over that, but at least he's still getting picked. But before we move on from the international week, what about England? Because I think everyone kind of laughed at that Nations League when it started. No one really knew what to expect. And those stupid kind of 3-team groups felt a bit like the Anglo-Italian Cup off of the early 90s. And then all of a sudden, England get 2 goals in the last 20 minutes, win their group, and we're into the Nations League semi-finals next summer. What do we think? Is this going to be a real tournament, or is this something that we literally don't care about and we're just being stupidly jingoistic?
Of course we care about it.
Joe, I come to you as an expat. Are you dancing in the streets, wearing your 3 lions proudly, and saying that this is showing that we are continuing on the route back to being a dominant football power?
I've been doing that since I came back from Russia, to be honest. Every day, just for good measure.
Fine.
No, look, honestly, for me, I actually really like it. I think, look, it is a little bit complex, and I think that it does take a bit of getting your head around the whole concept of the Nations League. But I mean, it has. I don't think anyone can really doubt that it's brought a little bit of a buzz back to international friendlies, because now all of a sudden even though a lot of people don't know what they mean something. And I think that's good. I think it's a sort of the rejig that international football needed a little bit. And look, I think there is such a sort of a feel good mood around the England side at the minute. And you look at the players that are coming through, and they just seem to be. And I think it was said a lot over the World Cup as well. They seem to be a team of the people again, which is great. And I think we've lacked that for so long. I mean, like I said, I was in Russia for the World Cup, and I went to a couple of England games, including that semi-final. And it was just so nice to be watching an England team that seemed to have a plan again, and to have that now going through, and that there is that continuity pushing through, and we have got the sort of the same core group of players. A lot of the guys who did well in the World Cup are still doing well now, and then we've got this new group of younger players coming through who, I mean, I think, as you mentioned earlier with Hurst, there has been this like unnecessary hype over young English players, and I think for a long time we were hyping up guys who just didn't really warrant it. Whereas I think now you look at the players we got there, and there really is a reason to be excited. And anytime we can use these mini tournaments to push that England setup on, and get people on side, I think it can only be good for English football in general, to be honest.
It's going to be an exciting summer as far as that's concerned. But yeah, I know, I agree. You saw with some of those, I worry maybe about the lower divisions in this. That feels more like glorified international friendlies. But then when you see the likes of Germany against the Netherlands, with winner takes all kind of match, etc., that there's some proper international rivalries being played out. And that's getting people more excited than a random autumn friendly, isn't it? When we're out of qualification.
Yeah, but I also think, I mean, you spoke about Fletcher now. I mean, you look at the atmosphere in that Scotland game when they came from behind to beat Israel, and I think like before that was a nothingness game, but because there is something on the line, it just means a little bit more, and I think that is, I think that's great because it gives a little bit of purpose to things that otherwise would have been a pointless game that people turn up for and go home thinking, oh, great, we got a result, but what's it really matter?
It's basically a charity shield, isn't it, for the international teams? And I think that is brilliant. Like we've said, it makes you interested yet again. Like, because I don't know about you guys, like I'll watch Match of the Day. Yeah, I'll watch Match of the Day. I'm interested. It's fine. Like, I get it. I watch that. But normally international friendlies, I'm not going to lie, I don't watch them. I'm not interested. But this, there's a reason for it again, like we've said, and it does spark you up again. And then we have to remember that we have to go to Hillsborough on Saturday, and we're going to hate football again. So brilliant.
A little bit of escapism. The thing that I love the most out of it is that it's been set up so no matter what level you're playing at, which division effectively of the Nations League, that the winner of each division will get a chance to play in the Euros, which I think is brilliant because you always love an absolute random team getting in there. Honestly, if you get a Euros and San Marino.
If only it was like Worksop Town.
Yeah. But, effectively, San Marino, Andorra, Liechtenstein. If one of them gets to play one of those big tournaments, that's it. Those players can retire the next day and know that they've done something that no other player at that level has ever achieved. So, yeah, I think we're all in agreement, aren't we? That it's reinvigorated the international scene a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Good. Anyway, this is a Sheffield Wednesday podcast, and if the international break hasn't reminded you of it, it's a struggle being a Wednesday podcast and being Wednesday fans at the moment. So let's forget about this international stuff because it's making us smile a little too much, and get back to the loving confines of Sheffield 6. So we've had a quiet couple of weeks. Club news. I suppose this is a little bit of a public service announcement. Christmas is coming up. God knows I've just started doing the Christmas shopping for Laura and the family. So it was great news to hear from the club that they have now got all shirts back in stock in all sizes in time for Christmas. I've got nothing to say about it. We've talked about Wednesday's commercial offering and their ability to... Go on.
I think that's a really big fucking deal. I think that's a huge deal. Like, we are the same podcast that has slated the club year after year for like the last few years for not having shirts available. We are getting a new batch of shirts available in time, not only for one Christmas payday, but 2 Christmas paydays. I'm sorry, if they don't sell out, then stop your bloody whinging, because they've done it. They've done exactly what you asked them to do. They have got the shirts. They are in there. They are ready to be wrapped up on Christmas morning. Yes.
Great. So we're now congratulating the club that we have slated for this for the last 5 years on achieving a level of basic competence.
Yes. They're not. Come on. That's like whenever I go into work and I do something right and I get a little, well done, Vic. And I go, yes, yes.
Yeah, but that's it. Imagine if you just spent the last 5 years at work tossing it off, spilling coffee over your boss, never having any work that you've been asked to do in on time, and then you do one thing right, and everyone goes, "Oh well, they're brilliant. They fixed it." We'll see.
That's pretty much my job, to be fair.
No, well, fair point. Fair point. The quality of the kits. If you've not bought a shirt yet. This of all seasons, I think you should. The quality of them is 100 times better than it has been in the past. And it's the quality of the merchandise generally in the Megastore seems to be, dare I say it, on the up and up. So, get in there and get loaded up for Christmas. The calendar's out, isn't it, as well? Did you see that? Calendar's coming. That's always my favourite part of it. Seeing how many of the 12 players that are featured are still at the club come the end of the January transfer window.
They're never ever topless, though, are they? Like, I'm not being funny, but just split it. Order 70% topless. You two would both buy a topless one. Let's not lie about this. You would both buy a topless one. You don't want to see Fernando in his shirt. You want to see him oiled up, holding a tyre.
I can't even really argue with you, Vic, to be honest.
Exactly. So that is what we need, Sheffield Wednesday Football Club. I actually, I replied to the club asking if we could just have a Adam Reach calendar, and about 80 people liked it. So evidently there's a market there.
Absolutely.
So let's do it.
Well, look,
the other big news, Eddie.
Go.
The other big news from the club. I'm sorry, right? The other big news is, dun dun dun, there is a DVD going to be available before Christmas.
Oh, is it? Oh, yeah, I know which one. It's the Carabao Cup game against Port Vale on DVD.
Season review 1997.
Cannot wait. Amazing. Cannot wait for that. Well done, club. Go on. What is it, Vic?
No, it is. It's all Wednesday. So the film that we've been harping on and on about for months by my lovely colleague / friend-ish, Matt Exton, is now going to be available on DVD, ready to buy. So obviously we did the night the other week, we did it at the Union, and we did the live showing, and that funded the DVD. So now that can be bought. It's going to be available on YouTube at some point. But trust me, guys, please get involved. Please buy the DVD. It goes to, and I'm guessing here, Ed, because I haven't got the notes in front of me, but the profits from the DVD, because Matt has done this out of the pure love of the club and love of filmmaking and whatever else. So the profits will go to the Sheffield Children's Hospital, Bluebell Wood, and Western Park Cancer Charity. So fucking hell, if there's any reason to buy a DVD, it is those three things. And let me tell you, the film itself is absolutely top notch. It's absolutely brilliant. You will laugh, you will cry. We've talked about it so much recently, but now you can buy it yourself. So
I'm literally just writing all this down. I'm sticking it on a list for me, Mum. She can buy all this stuff for Christmas. I can have a naked Forest Dairy calendar. I need a new Sheffield Wednesday mug, that DVD, and I need a shirt. She can sort that for me. She's earning £.
Anything dodgy, Joe, just email vic@thewednesdayweek.co.uk and I'll see if I can sort you out, babe.
Thanks very much.
So here, I think it's £10, and it's nothing for a piece of Sheffield Wednesday history that is pure quality. The production values on it are absolutely bang on. It's
almost as good as Danny Baker's Goals and Gaffs.
It's close. It's absolutely close. I've got it on my list. It's the All Wednesday DVD, and I also want the box set of When Swans Attack from Dave Jarvu +2. So that's going to be good. Right, this is the Wednesday week in association with Riverside Cafe on Catch Lane in Sheffield. We'll be there on Saturday ahead of Wednesday's return to action. Speaking of which, Vic, if I was to ask you, what is the biggest derby in football, what would you say?
Yeah, so I've had the honour this week of being a viral tweet. So my viral tweet was, Frank Lampard's derby is evidently the biggest derby in football. And it's gone mental. I swear to God, I've had to turn notifications off on my phone because it's just insane. Like, I've got a cousin that does
to talk about Derby County anymore without putting
Frank Lampard's derby,
because it's his
exactly.
As soon as he turns up,
but I've got a cousin who's like internet famous and like does YouTube and all that shit. So normally, if I've tweeted something about like a girly thing or whatever, I think, oh, it's getting all these likes because our Gabby's liked it, whatever. But this one has gone insane. Like, it's like every 2 minutes someone's retweeting it, quoting it, liking it, whatever. I was just telling you how it is. So Frank Lampard's derby on Saturday at Hillsborough.
I spent the weekend with a few of my ex-uni mates, and there are a few of them that are Derby fans, and they seem to believe that the rest of the UK and indeed the football world is far more enamoured of Frank Lampard and Frank Lampard's derby than they are. they feel like there's, this is a much closer game than the kind of form would suggest, the relative league position would suggest. Last time we played Derby, we played them at Hillsborough. We won 2-0. It sounds a long time ago. Lucas João scored twice in February. Joe, what are you thinking about this Derby game? Wednesday have a kind of a weird history of reversing their fortunes either side of an international break, whether that's for good or bad. How do you see the game shaping up on Saturday?
You know what? Like I've lost all hope in terms of my own predictions for this season. Every time I look at a game and think, I think I know what's going to happen. Yeah, always the opposite happens. So I mean, look, I think this is going to be a tough game. So I'd put 3-0 Wednesday win on if you're going to put some bets on, because that's completely against what I would be thinking. But no, I mean, honestly, as Vic said, I mean, in terms of squad selection and everything, it's been so all over the place, and we just don't know what we're going to get. We don't know what kind of 11's going to get put out there. We don't know what kind of bottle's going to be shown by the players. I mean, look, if they manage to show the same kind of fight that they showed against the Blades. I mean, look, it wasn't a great performance by any stretch of the imagination, but I mean, at least they showed a bit of bollocks, and I think that's excellent. I think from a defensive point of view, that was exactly what we needed. And who knows, maybe that clean sheet, that final clean sheet that we've got, is going to be a turning point for us. I mean, I've been putting off when I do bets and that. I've been putting Wednesday on, because I don't like to bet on Wednesday because it annoys me. But I've been putting off both teams to score, and at least now I can put that to bed because I don't have to worry about it now, because I think we're just going to get all clean sheets now. We're not going to concede another one all season.
Well, if we keep playing six at the back, then we've got a decent chance.
Yeah,
Vic,
I had a thing the other night. So I, on Sunday, did all my usual chores. I had a really boring day of doing ironing and chores, watching England, like doing all my shit. And I just tweeted before I went to bed, yes, I've got clean sheets. And the amount of people that replied made me have constant nightmares all night that I was Cameron Dawson. It was horrendous. Like, so God knows how he feels. But I kept waking up like, oh my God, I've just kicked it in. You know, like when your mate goes out of the room when you're playing Pro Evo and you turn around and you just like boot it into your own net. Like, you can't do that on FIFA, but you can on Pro Evo. And like, I kept having that dream, but I was actually Cameron Dawson doing it. So I'm never going to tweet about clean sheets ever again, whether they are in a football or betting capacity.
If we're talking about bets, what do we think we'd get on Cameron saving another penalty?
Well, at Derby,
that would be fantastic. At Derby. Yeah, no,
4-3.
Yeah, 3 in a row. 3 in a row. I reckon 3 games, 3 penalty saves. Let's have it. Can you imagine how tall he'd be walking if he did that?
Do we know if there's a record for that?
No, I don't know. And the small Vietnamese.
No, you're the person that would know, Joe.
Yeah, fair point. I do love a stat. I do like a stat. No, I think because we always talk about records for like consistent consecutive goals scored and consecutive wins and even consecutive defeats and draws and that. But like, surely there's. I'll have a look. There must be something for games saving consecutive penalties, because that'd be amazing for him. And look, I'm really happy for him.
Well, he's saved the most goals this year, hasn't he, in the Championship?
Yeah, it doesn't say much about him, does it?
He's at the top of that league. Well, no, exactly. But it says a lot about him.
Let's not get into this discussion again. No. I feel like last week's pod was just one big argument about everything. Isn't
that just what the world is now?
Pretty much, yeah. We're all polarised.
If Dan Fudge is there, it's all a big argument. Let's be honest.
So, in terms of how we line up on Saturday, obviously the big bait and switch before the Pigs game was that all the way through the week, Jos was talking about Fessy training, Fessy's getting ready, Fessy's close to starting. Do we think he's going to be back?
I hope so. I mean, look, if he was close to being back for the United game and he's had the whole international break to get himself sorted now, and I'm sure he's played in a couple of 11-a-side games in training and that, like, you would think that he's at least on the bench. I mean, honestly, I don't think I am overstating his importance when I think that Sheffield Wednesday with a fit and firing Forestieri can challenge for promotion. Without him all season, I think it's definitely a stretch. So, I mean, he just offers something different, and I think having him available even off the bench, it's just such a massive boost for the side. So I mean, if you know that you've got that option, and also from an opposition point of view, if they know they have to plan for a Forestieri, it makes their job a lot more difficult.
No, absolutely, and it gives us something different from what we've had, irrespective of who we pick up front. And I can't imagine Jos is going to put Bessie up supporting an individual striker. It occurs to me that these next two games, Derby's a tough one, and we accept that. But it's at home. We're rested. We're coming off that backs to the wall, but ultimately face-saving performance against the Blade. Do we really feel that this, and then Tuesday night straight away again at home to Bolton, gives us the best chance that we have to, kick on and at least have another phase of the season where we are on the front foot rather than what was a god-awful period between the last two international breaks? But, Vic, what are you thinking? If you had to make a prediction, for this, and even if you want to include the Bolton game in this, how do you see these two games going?
I see the Derby game going well. I'm not going to lie. Oh, dog. I see that going well. I think we'll be fine. I think Fessy will come back. I think we will potentially do quite well in that against Frank Lampard's Derby. Bolton, I think it's one of those banana skin games, isn't it? As Dan Fudge would say, it's one of those games that it could completely go tits up. And let's be honest, we are Sheffield Wednesday in 2018, so it probably will go tits up. I'm not holding out a lot of hope for the Bolton game, but for the Derby game, I'm quite looking forward to it. I think an international break, obviously, some of us are on the high from England, some of us aren't, but a lot of us are on the high from the Derby, just the fact that we didn't get crucified there. I'm looking forward to it. I've missed the football. I've missed the camaraderie. I've missed all of that. I've not missed the 90 minutes that I spent inside Hillsborough, let's be honest. I think I'm feeling quite positive about it. I think Fessy and Fletcher, if we see them starting or coming on at some point, brilliant. I don't know. Yeah, I'm happy about that game. Bolton seems a little bit too far into the future for me to think about until after the Derby game.
Bolton, well-established, Bolton are our second team, aren't they, Vic? So I think we'll always think, maybe it's a bit harder. Joe, they are second bottom at the moment.
We're all trotters, aren't we?
Aren't we just? Joe, they are second bottom, and realistically, that's a game that we should be a class above, irrespective of whether Fessy's playing. And we should be able to polish them off, surely.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'd take 4 points from the two games. I'd take 4 points. I think if you can get a draw against Derby and then beat Bolton, I think it's respectable. Look, if you can get those 4 points and stick a couple of clean sheets in there as well, I think that would be joyous. So I think, I mean, given what's happened throughout the course of the season so far, I think if we just need to try and get that defence sorted a little bit, and if the boys can get a bit of confidence from another couple of clean sheets, and it might help them kick on. And look, it's a big 6 weeks for us now, isn't it? I mean, these 6 weeks. I mean, we always talk about where you are around Christmas, and I think that given what we've been going through the last sort of few years, finishing obviously playoff final, playoff semis, if we get to Christmas time and it's already become a bit of a write-off for us, it's going to be a bit hard to watch that second half of the season. So I think if they can finish this year strongly, and we can at least put ourselves in the equation for those top 6 places, that'd be amazing. I mean, look, the plus side is that the championship is batshit crazy. So you never really know what you're going to get with this league. So I mean, we could have a team that's sitting in the top 3 now that finishes 14th at the end of the season, because that's just the way the championship is. So I think, like I say, if we can finish strongly and we can get 4 points here and build on that performance against United, then yeah, I mean, I think I'm just stupidly optimistic, to be honest. I think it's just something I've had to sort of ingratiate into my own personality, because otherwise I probably have topped myself.
I think we've all experienced those kind of feelings watching Wednesday. I think, from my point of view, I feel like Wednesday this season are going to be a streaky team, and we're going to put runs together of quality
Of
and
both
abject
kinds.
lack of quality. Exactly, yeah. And the sum total is going to be kind of where we believe we are, which is a mid-table side that hasn't quite got enough overall over 46 games to challenge in the way that we have done in past seasons. Given where we were at the start of the season, given where we were in the summer, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, but it is what it is. I think what we need to do now, given where we are, that 17th place, and it is still so tight that a run of 2, 3, even 4 wins will put you right back in the conversation about sides that are battling for promotion or battling for those playoff places. So it's, I suppose, and I hate to say it as Wednesday fans, it's a sense of not overreacting in either direction, and that seems to be almost impossible. Given the way that the fan base is polarised, given the way that we are prone to a little bit of drama
definitely.
as Wednesday fans, and that'll be the way that it always is. But I think we'll get a clearer idea, certainly of whether Yoss is a dead man walking or not, from these 2 home games, because they're 2 home games where we have to show, like you say, at the very least a 4-point performance to kind of justify the idea that we aren't a struggling side. We've just had a bit of a shit run form.
I can deal with a bit of mid-table mediocrity. I mean, we've been doing that for years, so that I can deal with. I can't take a relegation battle. My heart's not ready for that again.
No,
100%. Yeah,
always horrible. And you know what? And this time, I don't think there'd be. It'd feel like the Palace relegation. It'd feel like a rebuild.
And the thing that annoys me is that we're even questioning that. And we're saying we would be happy with mid-table mediocrity. We have players in that team who, okay, probably come January, we won't be able to see ever again. But we have players that could easily be in the top half of this division. And that is what is so frustrating. But I don't want to go all damn fudge about it.
Are you embarrassed?
Are you
embarrassed? Are you not embarrassed?
No, I'm not embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed about it.
Let's not go. Let's think about the positive.
But I do think that we have some really bloody good players who we, in 5-10 years' time, will go, fucking hell, they play for Wednesday. We look back now at your Ross Barkleys, your Danny Bart. There are a million players that have played for us, and we go, bloody hell, they were all right actually, and we let them go. Obviously, there's your Gabby Agbonlahors and whatever that we just couldn't wait to see out the door, and then just stuck 2 fingers up at us. But there are players at the moment that we shouldn't be struggling how we are. And maybe it's just bad luck. Maybe it really is. And it's not about tactics or whatever else. Obviously, we've said a bit about that. But maybe it is just a really shitty time of luck at the moment.
It's a concoction of all of that. I mean, there's been some weird decisions made by the manager. There's been a bit of bad luck. I mean, how many times have we seen us play well this season? And I mean, the amount of times I've tweeted at half time going, "Oh, this is actually pretty good." Then we lose 3-0, and it's like, "Oh, all right, is that what's just happening now?" And I think that, I mean, it's been such a difficult season in terms of everything going against us. And I don't mean that in a sort of woe is me sense, like everybody feels sorry for us. I just think there's been a lot of bad decisions made. We've had injuries at the wrong time as well, and can't take chances. But then we go through these periods where we got Adam Reach sticking him in from 40 yards out every other game. So, I mean, as you say, Vic, there are players in that side that are. I mean, look, there are players in that side that I would go as far as saying are possibly even Premier League players. I mean, I look at Barry Bannon on his day when Bannon's at his peak and when Forrest Davies at his peak, they are Premier League footballers. And I think that we've seen enough of Adam Reach to see that he's. I mean, I'm not talking sort of Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City kind of space, but I mean, I think there are players in our side that with the right other players around them are good enough for the Premier League. So it is a little bit of pill to swallow when we talk about that mid-table mediocrity. But look, if as long as we can sort of settle and look, as we all know, as you alluded to, January is going to be tough because we don't know who's going to still be around, and I think it's going to be a long summer as well because there's a lot of stuff going off in the background that we're all not privy to. So we'll see what happens with that.
Dum dum dum. Yeah, so it's for another day, isn't it? There's an awful lot.
Yeah, I've just got some pills now and a noose.
Right. That's it. No.
And I'll see you later.
No.
See you later. I've loved you all. I've left everything in my will
Don't
for you,
get
Eddie,
anything.
including all my debt.
I've stepped away.
No,
Football manager for the night, and I'm not even in the will.
Hey, all I wanted was the underwear drawer. Anything else, I'm not bothered.
If anyone wants my debt, Joe, you can have my dog. She'd love South Africa. She gets very cold here. It's fine. It's all good.
Right.
James gets the house.
We're not talking. We're certainly not talking that negative. That's ridiculous.
We really are.
You know what there is. So
we're talking about, can we beat Bolton at home?
Well,
we are talking negative.
Look, we start on Saturday. We start with Derby, and we start before the game with the fan park in the North Stand. That's going to be open again. Licensed bar for alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks. There's going to be stuff for the kids. There's food. There's all that sort of stuff. It's always quite fun. We've been down there a few times with the kids, and they, they love it. It's not necessarily as good as the Riverside Cafe, but they seem to enjoy getting involved with that. But more importantly, this Saturday there's something that I think is really special, especially at this time of year. So with the festive period fast approaching, it becomes that time of year where our thoughts turn to thinking of others that are less fortunate than us. And sometimes it's pretty hard to think about people who are less fortunate than Wednesday fans, but it's less fortunate Wednesday fans as well. Saturday is the ideal time to do something special. So ahead of the championship clash between Wednesday and Derby, the S6 Food Bank and their team of volunteers are hosting 2 drop-off points for supporters at Hillsborough. So we at Wednesday Week are urging as many fans as possible to show their generous side and donate non-perishable food items to help make somebody else's Christmas. So there'll be 2 gazebos present from midday through to kick-off, one on the South Stand Bridge and one across the stadium at the Owls Megastore for fans to bring food items to give. It's something that I've done in the past locally, and those food items, especially the kind of things that make up a Christmas dinner, don't take a turkey, that's ridiculous, but other stuff, and also things like crackers. If you want to give a box of kind of child-friendly presents and crackers and that kind of stuff, it's really appreciated by those organisations that are helping people out, that otherwise their Christmas day wouldn't be any different from any other day of the year. And when life's tough, any other day of the year isn't that good. So if possible, come and get involved. I'll certainly be taking something along to the South Stand Bridge and dropping it off. And I hope that some of our listeners and Wednesday fans everywhere will do the same thing.
The other thing as well is, it's been we always sell it. I've done this a million times working for charity. So you always say, if there's anything left in your cupboard that's not perishable or whatever, bloody hell, right? Go to Asda, spend a £5 on some tinned carrots, some soup, some croutons, Frey Bentos pie meals, anything like that. Christ's sake, take those down. If you can spare £1, go and buy 3 tins of carrots. That is all they're asking of you, and every single bit will go to people that need it. It's not about what's left in your cupboard. Christ, I must have got shitloads of sweet corn in my cupboard that I'm never going to eat, so I don't eat sweet corn. It's from someone else who used to live here. But
stop with the sweet corn. Buy something else.
Sorry. I know. Well, it wasn't me. But there's loads of that, so I will drop all that shit down. But I will also go to Asda and buy bits that people actually want. Because the thing that I think, we talk about stuff like this and it becomes a bit of a charity appeal, a bit like a dog's home or, an animal charity or whatever. These are human beings and they need food and shelter. And so if you think about what you are dropping off, is it shit that's at the back of your cupboard, or is it something that you could pop to Asda and spend 2, 3, 4, 20 quid on, whatever, and drop off there? That's the point. It's not about just giving them your old tat from the back of the cupboard It's about giving them something that they actually want to eat this Christmas.
Hear, hear. Yeah, that's our community aspect for the day. You know what will be even better is if you know someone who's maybe struggling to get to Wednesday games and hasn't been for a while, because God knows it's expensive enough these days. If you've got a spare ticket, or get them a ticket, brilliant. If not, why not get down to the Riverside Cafe and treat them to a drink, treat them to a pie and a bit of time, just chatting about Wednesday with fellow Wednesday fans. I spent a good half a season in protest at the club and the way the club was run. I went to the games but didn't go in the stadium, and spent my time in and around the pubs and enjoying it with Wednesday fans. Being part of that is as valuable, and being part of the fandom is as valuable as being there and seeing the match. So do what you can this festive season. And like Vic says, it sounds a bit wanky and a bit, let's all help out with charity now, guys. But it just focuses your mind a little bit. We're not going to go on about it because this is not a moral podcast.
It sounds a bit wanky. Yeah. Brilliant. All I'm saying is, don't give them the shit from your cupboard. Go to Asda and buy an extra couple of tins of something. I'm not trying to be a bit wanky. I'm just saying, don't give them your old carrots, for fuck's sake.
Oh, exactly. Or Waitrose raspberry balsamic vinegar. We don't need any of that. Giveaways. Vic, we've got competitions running on our Twitter, haven't we now? Given this is the season of goodwill, we're giving away some absolute beauts. Can you tell us about what the good public of the Wednesday week can win?
I can, Edward, but I need to look at the running order. Because James has kind of done this, bless him. God bless his soul. He just does all the mundane admin side of this stuff. And we just record. So James has organised 3 competitions in the run-up for Christmas. So one of them, you have to go over to our Twitter page, which is @TWWcast, if you didn't already know that. And we have got 3 competitions. So they are all pretty much a follow both accounts and retweet or like this. So we've got one from the Cromwell Club, which we did last season or the season before and went really, really well. They do awesome artwork and sort of retro artwork about Wednesday. And you can retweet and you can pick, I think it's one of 4 things from their collection. The other competition that we have is from Football Bobbles, and they do bobble hats that are in the style of old kits, as modelled on our very own James Marriott on a match day. So like and retweet and do whatever with that one.
That
and the last
Vic,
one
before
is...
you go on, Vic, the bobble that they're giving away, modelled on the 1988 Celtic style away kit, is the sickest thing
Beautiful.
I will be.
You can't win it though. You can't win it.
I will put my hand in my pocket and pay good money for that because it's beaut.
And the last one we have is from the terracelife.com, and they do shitloads of stuff. So they do really cool Christmas decorations for your tree. Yes. I'm going to buy those on payday. And they do loads of different stuff it's retro, old school stuff. And they do a mug at the moment that you can win if you retweet and do whatever from our account, at TWWcast, at the Terrace Life, or maybe Terrace Life, I don't know. Go and ask, it's on there. And you can retweet it, you can you can put your own name on the mug, and it's an old school shirt, and it's lovely. So do that.
Have you seen that? The Terrace Life is fantastic for those retro bits and bats.
Oh, the stuff they do is just incredible, isn't it?
And they were live and exclusive on Sky One last week, because I have a Terrace Life mug. It says number 8 Waddle on it. It's got blue and white stripes. It's modelled after 1993 Premier League kit. And guess who was on telly drinking from it? Only my missus on Sky One's The Heist. Follow 10 members of the public as they try and steal and get away with £250,000 in a massive heist. Live and exclusive on Sky One.
She had a Waddle one, didn't she? She had a Waddle mug. I saw it.
I've steered away from talking about it too much. I've certainly not put it on my Twitter. But when you get Wednesday fans who have been screenshotting her drinking from the Waddle mug and going, "This lass knows the score," that'll do me. That'll do me. Super. We're all Wednesday, aren't we? And repping it repping it on Sky One. So there are giveaways. I want to talk about another podcast. I know not many podcasts will give big publicity to other podcasts. Joe, you're a Wednesday fan, living the dream, but many thousands of miles from home. How important is it to you that there is that kind of, podcasts give a link back to being current and being part of the fandom, even though you might not necessarily be tramping up the steps of the car?
No, it's massive, mate. I mean, the relationships that I've formed. I mean, even like, when I come back home and it's always sort of vital to me that I get a game in, because I've tried to explain to people before, and this is from a journalistic point of view as well. Working in football, especially so far away from home, it kind of sucks the joy out of it a little bit for me sometimes, because I'm constantly surrounded by it. It becomes a little bit. It becomes a job, and when I come home, and the friendships that I've made, even through, like, specifically through this podcast. I always try and meet up with the guys when I come that side, and we'll go for a beer before the game and stuff. And it's amazing. Like, I love the idea of, even though I am literally, more like, I think it's about 6,000 miles away, I still have that link back, and being able through social media, through podcasts, to have the conversations that I would have if I was in a bar before the game or whatever. It makes it normal for me again. And I think it's a case of all over the world you've got that. I know there's a lot of boys in the States, some groups over in different parts of the world who are putting together these little fan groups, and I think it's amazing. And to be honest, I know it's the old cliche, but to know how massive we are as a football club, and to know that we can go in so many different countries and have this same sort of camaraderie is fantastic. And I do miss being home, but this it's a nice close second. I'll take it as a standard.
Brilliant. And have you managed to have a listen, not putting you on the spot or anything, but have you managed to have a listen to a new podcast called The Owl Sanctuary? So there's these two young lads that are starting out. One's called Chris McClure, one's called Pete McKee. They're basically unknowns. They're not huge names like the Wednesday Week. They seem to have come up with literally the best podcast ever created.
No, I haven't.
Have you had a chance to listen to it yet?
I've been all over the place recently. I've obviously joined the international break as well. I was a bit of a mess, but I haven't had a listen to the guys. I've seen a lot of people talking about it though. It seems like they're obviously doing something right. Yeah,
absolutely. Vic, these guys are putting us in the shade in terms of the content, reviews and stuff like that. But
they are. I'm not being funny, but if your brother is the Reverend and you are on the front cover of the Arctic Monkeys album and you are fucking Pete McKee, you're always going to shaft us, aren't you? Yeah, absolutely. Have you listened to it, Ed? It is brilliant. I loved it. Yeah. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, and you know what? I welcome our new celebrity overlords, and this might be the last ever Wednesday week, but I'm happy with it. Yeah. So that is the Owl Sanctuary podcast. Give it a listen and give it a subscribe and like, because the more voices there are supporting Sheffield Wednesday, the more massive we clearly are. So that's all good. So finally for tonight, social media. We are active, of course, on social media. That's how we interact with fans, friends, and people that want to tell us that they hate it when we talk over each other, which we're trying to fix, but it's bloody difficult. Vic, what's been happening on social media this week?
So anyway, I have taken over our Instagram. So I use our Instagram at work. Well, not our Instagram. I use Instagram at work, and it's become my ting. I've done a lot of training on it. So yeah, I'm taking over that from now on. So we do a few stories. We ask questions of people, whatever they want to know on Instagram. But also this morning or yesterday morning at 5 a.m., right, 5 a.m., we got a like from Danny Batth. Now, if that ain't a booty call, I don't know what is, to be honest. We got booty called by Danny Batth. The Wednesday week got booty called by Danny Batth. Yeah.
It'd be interesting to know if Danny is currently in the UK, or if he's just repping it in Dubai in international break or something like that. Because in that case, then it's kind of a normal time of the morning. But Danny, if you're booty calling the Wednesday week at 5 a.m, let's make it happen. Yeah, you can get on the podcast. You come
round, babe. Come round.
Yeah, totally. Wednesday Legend, you get involved. That is awesome. Vic, how do you follow the Wednesday Week on all of our social medias?
So as far as I know, we have the same username on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, which is TWWcast. So I've been trying to do stuff on our Facebook. To be honest, I'm a bit shit on Facebook because it's not like there on my phone all the time. But Instagram, follow us on that. Twitter, we all log into the Twitter and stuff. We're all admins of the Facebook page, but no one does it except me. So yeah, just follow us. Just search TWWcast on any of the social medias and we're bound to appear.
Do it. Do all of what Vic just said. And if you're old school and, your fans on Friends Reunited, if you're old school, if you're really, really old school, come into the Riverside Cafe before the game. We'll be there on Saturday. We'll be there on Tuesday. We like to have a little drink and a little chat. So come and make yourself known to the team. Vic, if anyone wants to get hold of you individually and personally on no dating apps whatsoever, because you don't do that, on mainstream social media, how would they contact you?
So you can find me at Victoria1867 on, well, everything, to be honest. But LinkedIn and Facebook is weird. So stick to Twitter. Instagram, I am Miss_VEW because somebody in somewhere like Dubai or whatever stole my username. So Miss_VEW on Instagram or Victoria1867 on Twitter.
Joe, you are a serious professional journalist, and your words carry some weight. If people want to read what you do, listen to what you have to say, or just abuse you online like the rest of us, how do they get hold of you?
Yeah, if you want to come and have a look at my mentions and just see everybody abusing me on a daily basis, you can come check. It's at YesWeCran on Twitter. It's the same on Instagram. If you want to see my pictures when I go gallivanting all over the place when I get a chance to do so. It's a little bit of a miserable place sometimes, but I try and throw a little bit of humour in there when I can.
And if you want to get hold of me, I am at Sausage Arms, currently posting ridiculously about a certain Sky TV show, but we don't talk about that because they don't sponsor us and don't give us any money, not even 25 grand. In any case, we are the Wednesday Week. We are done for this week. It's been a bit of a football wasteland, but you know what? Saturday and Tuesday, it all starts again. Let's hope the Wednesday can do their bit for the fans and get us all smiling again. Until next week, I've been Eddie.
Enjoy your time.
And enjoy your time.
Keep up to date with the Wednesday Week on Twitter at TWWcast or on our website, thewednesdayweek.co.uk.